Another thing we want to do is we want to check before we install the clutch pack. Let me remove these tubes. We want to check a quick measurement of so that we'll have a reference for the clutch pack height, the stack height. They say that it should be about 1 millimeter, and I'll show you how to do that. Basically, what we do is we put this, there's no clutch pack in there currently. We put this plate on, and then using some calipers, there's some little holes right here that you can use, and you want to measure the depth of that hole. The manual suggests that it's going to be about 4.6 millimeters. So using these calipers, I'll check the depth of that hole, and it is 4.6 millimeters. What happens is I'll show you this. Here, I'll zoom in. You can see the little holes there. What that is it's going to measure to the splines right there behind it. And as you install the clutch pack, it's going to push this plate out. I'm exaggerating it some, but it's going to push it out this way, so that the depth there and that hole will change. It's supposed to be about 1 millimeter. So if it's a lot more than 1 millimeter or a lot less than 1 millimeter, then you're going to have to make some adjustments in your clutch pack stack height in order to get it to 1 millimeter. Next, we're going to install the clutch pack. There's a couple differences, namely this judder spring and spring seat. We're going to move it out one spot in the clutch stack. The reason for this is because as this slipper clutch, as it separates where the ramps are, when you put back pressure on it, these springs can actually slip in behind there and keep the clutch disengaged. So you can remove them completely and put in an extra friction plate, or you can leave them in. If you take them out completely, Yoyodyne says it makes it a little harder to find neutral. He recommended them just leaving them in. There's several people that have several different methods for mounting these up, but I just wanted to show you that there is going to be a difference. This was the last clutch friction plate that we took out. It's the little thin one. If you'll notice, it's different than the standard one, and I'll show you why that difference is. We'll get a little close up here. The reason it's different is because this judder spring actually fits inside of it, and then that's how we'll move it out. So what we'll do is we'll take a standard friction plate and we'll put that one in first. Next, we'll take a steel and put it in. Now originally this judder spring and spring seat went in first, but since we're moving it out one spot, next we're going to take this special clutch disc. It was the last one in the stack, or the one closest to the engine originally. It's thinner than the others, and we're going to stick it in. Then we're going to stick the spring seat in, which is the one that's not got an angle to it. The judder spring has an angle to it. I don't know if you can see the difference. One is completely flat. That's the spring seat. Put that in. Then we'll take the judder spring, put it in. Then friction plate. steel. Steel, and then the last friction plate is, again, it's a little bit different than the rest. It's got a different part number on it, and it's identified. There's some writing here on this section. You can tell the difference between these and the others. You'll notice that the friction material is a little bit wider on this than it is on the others. And you can just, if you took them out in order, then it shouldn't be a problem. If you got a new clutch pack, you can just compare it to the others. Basically, all the plates in the middle are all the same. It's the one with the judder springs that's different, and it's the one that's on the very outside that's different. Next, you want to install the clutch lifter piece. And we want to install the pressure plate. Now, I have new springs here that I got with my clutch kit. You can just use the standard stock ones that came off the bike if you're using the existing clutch pack. I want to be careful here not to cross thread these when you're putting these springs on. You have to press down a little bit to get the N5 bolt started, and it should screw on pretty easily. Now I'm going to put just a little bit of pressure on a couple of these and check our clearance measurement from before. So originally we had 4.6 millimeter measurement when we measured here through the holes in the pressure plate. So now I want to check and see if I've got approximately 1 millimeter of clearance. I've got 1.2 millimeters of clearance, which is acceptable. The manual recommends that if you have less than 0.4, that you need to change the types of friction plates in order to gain the right amount of clearance. If you're going to torque these down, the torque value is 8 Newton meters, which is not very much. Fred at Yoyodyne, I spoke with him. He recommended just taking a T-handle and tighten them snug. That should be perfectly acceptable. Well, we got the slipper clutch installed, as you can see, and everything's done there. The last part is making sure you get this idle gear installed correctly. You know, it usually comes off with the clutch cover. It has this pin. It goes in there. And then the gear, and then the that washer, the thrust washer, and then this washer goes against the cover. We've cleaned off all the gasket surface areas of the engine case and the clutch cover that I have down here on the floor. We'll apply a thin bead of black RTV silicone, which is what the Honda manual calls for, and then install the clutch cover again, and then we should be finished. Well, that's it for our slipper clutch how-to install. We got the clutch cover back on. Clutch cable came put back on just the way it came off, and we tightened these clutch cover bolts in a crisscross pattern, hooked up the crankshaft position sensor wire here back up underneath the tank, and lowered the tank back down. And we checked the clutch adjustment, and it needed very little, just a little bit on the lever side over there, and it appears to be operating correctly. We'll test it out on the track.